right, what's going on? It's your man Alpha back with another episode of Good Afternoon with Alpha. You know, I'm an OG, man. I've seen a lot. I've done a lot, mostly positive, but I've done my share of negative as well. And the time that I recall doing the most negativity is the rare occasion when I was in survival mode. And what I realized is that in survival mode, you can't trust anyone, not even yourself. Survival mode is animalistic. So the emotions that humans normally feel, compassion, consideration, thoughtfulness, love, they're void. They're gone. There's no place for those emotions in survival mode. Survival mode means that in order to survive, I'll do whatever is necessary. So I don't trust people who are in survival mode. You can't predict what they're going to do, how they're going to respond, how they're going to react. You don't even know how they're going to react to kindness. Because after a certain point in survival mode, kindness just looks like an easy mark to you. Kind people aren't kind people. They're people who are easy to take advantage of. So when you're in that frame of mind, you're untrustworthy. You can't predict what you're going to do your own self. And most times, those people have no idea what a relationship with God is. Even if they did before, they don't know now because in their mind, it doesn't serve any purpose when you're in survival mode. That's why God tells us to value our peace and to protect it with everything that we have, because if you don't, you'll find yourself in a volatile space mentally and emotionally, and you therefore will not be in tune with your spirit, man. There's something that I grew up in the older guys called the need more. There's want more and there's need more. You want to take care of want more a little bit, but you got to take care of need more. And so no matter how much you have, if you need more, you're teetering on survival mode and working hard, focusing, hoping. I want y'all to understand something. If I need to be a resource to you, then you're not welcome in my life. Will I be resourceful? Yes. But will I be a resource for you? I can't do it. I can't be a regular resource for someone that I didn't bring into the world. I just can't. I can't do it because there's obligations that I have to prioritize over that. See, once you have a kid, you have to prioritize that kid's needs and even wants over everyone else. And when you have people around you that are in particular situations in life and they can't fathom you not helping them because you're helping someone else, it doesn't matter if it's your kid. They're in a frame of mind where they probably take from their own kids. So you think they care about your kid? No. When you're in survival mode, you need to be around people who are in survival mode so you won't be out here victimizing regular hardworking people. But once you're out of survival mode, you don't stay in that mindset. You don't stay in that environment where other people are in that mindset. You can't. If you want to stay in that environment and you don't have to be, then you're going to end up in bad shape because you have to carry yourself in a way that's really not necessary for your life at that point. You got to think about it. When someone's desperate, any human part of them that's going to think something through and properly assess a situation is null and void. It's been pressed to the abyss. It is no longer rising to the surface at any point. Because that human part will make you think about what you're doing and tell you it's just not right. But when you're in survival mode, you just turn into an animal. You start living off instinct. And let me tell you something. The most dangerous human being in the world is a human being that lives off instinct, because you can't fool them. You can't rule them. You can't control them. They don't need you to console them. You can't mold them. All you can do is stay out of their way, because they're going to respond very quickly, quicker than you can think. They're going to respond. If you're in a situation with a dangerous animal, you know you don't have time to think. You got to already be practicing what you're supposed to do, because if the animal is hungry and is big enough to see you as prey, then you're in trouble. You have to already have your escape plan in mind just in case that happens. And you have to be calm enough and reserved enough to recall that and put it into action immediately. When you're living amongst the instinctive, you'll become lunch if you're a thinker. And the same way that applies to you being around wild animals, it applies to you being around human beings that are in survival mode. Because you got to think about this. You don't even know who someone is if you meet them at their lowest point. Everybody's different when they're not starving. Everybody's different when they're not trying to figure out what they're going to eat, where they're going to stay. Everybody's different when they have a little financial leeway to where they don't have to press so hard every day worrying about money, 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 money. And until you get to see that person in that situation, you don't know who they are. It's the same thing with if you didn't see somebody going through something, then you don't know how they're going to respond if times get a little hard for whatever reason. You got to be able to know how people are going to be around you when things aren't good. That's why a lot of times we end up circling back. When it comes to choosing a mate, a lot of time we end up just linking up with someone from the past. Why? Because we know how they're going to react if things go bad. And we're not predicting and hoping that things will go bad. We just know that that's a person that won't fold under the pressure. And you got to have that, man. You got to be around people who won't fold. Because once someone folds under the pressure, you have no earthly idea what you're going to get from that person at that time. You just don't know. Because you have to understand that the only incentive they have is to eat, is to get on top, is to get out of the gutter. And it's not like crabs in a barrel. Crabs in a barrel aren't pulling each other down because they don't want nobody to get out. Crabs in a barrel are all trying to get out. If you're lucky enough to grab onto the top, the other crabs are grabbing you so they can climb out with you. If you're the one who made it to the top or can grasp on to the top of a barrel, they're hoping that they can grab onto you because they know if you make it out and they can't come out with you, they're stuck. You're the one who made it to the top. And this is what you have to understand about human beings. Human beings aren't trying to get out. Human beings are trying to keep you in. They don't want to go out with you. They want you to stay in. There's a huge difference. And so let's not disrespect crabs by acting like, crabs in the barrel are thinking about taking each other down like humans are. No, that's a human thing. And you got to think about this. Sometimes when people in desperation mode, they don't have to be accountable for their decisions. There's always the excuse. Well, I stole because I was hungry. If you steal because you're just a thief, yes, your punishment should be more severe. And if you steal because you're hungry, then you should just have to repay what you're doing some kind of way. Repay what you take, what you've taken some kind of way. And so I think about it like that from that perspective. When you're in a desperate frame of mind, it turns you into either a humble thinker, prayer, worker, a frivolous spender, someone who's doing everything in their power to trying to change their fortunes, or it turns you into a snake. What is it going to turn you into? And you don't know what it's going to turn people into. So you might as well just stay out of those environments, stay away from those people. And see, when you think about people who don't take accountability for their decisions when they're doing these things, they have a myriad of people to blame about what's going on in their lives. And the main thing is they blame everyone, but they take no accountability themselves. And those people are bad luck. Those people are bad energy. They're low energy people. When we talk about low hanging fruit people, those are the low hanging fruit people. Because you got to think about it. When you're in dire straits, you can't be loyal to anyone except your hunger. You can't be loyal to anyone except, your body temperature. If you're outside and it's cold and you don't have anywhere to go, you can't be loyal to anything but warmth. If you're outside and it's hot and it's summertime, you don't have anywhere to go that's cool. You can't be loyal to anything except your hot body temperature. You got to focus on it. If you're starving where you haven't eaten in a couple of days, you can't be loyal to anything except hunger. That's all you can be loyal to. And who knows what you're going to do? Who knows how hungry you are? Who knows? No one knows. You can be hungry enough to do something to someone in order to take some food. And I'm not saying live in fear. I'm saying live in wisdom. This isn't fear. This is wisdom. You have to be aware of this, man, because I know for a fact when I was in survival mode, you couldn't trust me. I was going to do what I had to do. And when I say survival mode, I don't mean, being like outside, or I'm talking about hustle survival mode. If I wanted it, I had to get it. I had to hustle. I wasn't gonna get anything. You know what I mean? And I want y'all to understand that no matter what you think, you got to remember that when you don't feel worthy of life itself, when you look at your life and it's so bad and you're wondering why it's so bad, and you honestly just drew a bad deck, you drew a bad hand, and you grew up in a situation where you started from the bottom. Drake says he started from the bottom, but I mean you really started from the bottom. And sometimes you can't take foothold um on the latter rungs that will help you get out of there for whatever reason. For whatever reason. Maybe the rungs break when you get on them. I don't know what happens in people's lives. There's several different possible scenarios, but what I am saying to you is that you have to understand that someone who has no outlook that's positive on their life, they can't have any positive outlook on yours either. They can't look at you and see your success and say, wow, I'm motivated by that. At a certain point of desperation, they look at your success and say, wow, I'm motivated to see what I can get out of that person. And you have to know that. You have to know that. Because you got to think about this. If you don't have a plan of action to get out of your situation, then there is no help. Someone says, help me. Someone who has no job, no income, no anything says, can I borrow $200? How you going to pay me back? Borrow means I'll pay you back. How you going to pay me back? Well, I'll pay you back when I get a job. Well, if you can't give me a definitive time to pay me back, then this isn't a loan. A loan has a maturity date. If you tell me loan you $200 and you'll give it back to me on the 16th, then that's different. I know I'll be getting $200 back on the 16th. But if you're telling me that you don't know whenever you get a job, when you don't have a job, whenever you get a place, when you don't have a place, that's not borrowing money. And so you have to remember that you can't loan people money in that situation. You can give them money. You have to give them what you can spare and with no expectation of getting back. Now, sometimes people do get on fee and they remember what you did for them and they give it back. I was listening to, who's this guy I was listening to? Someone sent me a piece of content. It was Petey Pablo, North Carolina rapper Petey Pablo. He said that, who was the guy? Terrence Howard. He said they were at a party somewhere back when Petey had his run in rap. And Terrence Howard was he was a young actor. He was going through a divorce, so he had lost everything. And they were out somewhere, and they were going to go out and, just go out on the town. And Terrence Howard said he didn't have any money, right? Well, he said he said he lost his wallet, so he didn't have any money. Really, he just didn't have any money because he was losing everything in the divorce. He didn't have anything because he wasn't prepared for the divorce. So Petey Pablo just reached in his pocket and said, man, here go $200, man. And he was like, man, what you doing, bro? I don't need. He said, man, no, you don't want to walk around with nothing, man. Can't walk around with nothing in your pocket. And Terrence Howard took it. And about this was recently, that was and about 15 years later, which was recently, Terrence Howard called Petey Pablo and said, man, what's your address? He said, no, man, I don't need you. He said, man, I owe you some money. He said, what you talking about, man? He said, man, time you gave me $200. He said, man, nah, bro, don't give me no $200, man. You owe me that. He said, Terrence Howard told him, man, if you don't give me your address, man, so I can send you this money, man, I'm not going to call you anymore, and I don't want to talk to you anymore. So, I mean, you could have said, man, I don't care, man, blah, but the man trying to give you your money back. He said, man, he gave him his address, and he said one day he got a few days later, he got a letter from him, got an envelope from Terrence Howard, and said it was $15,000 check in it. So he said he called him and said, hey, man, what's this right here? And he explained to him, he said, brother, I mean, at that point, I didn't have anyone. Everyone had turned against me. My family, my ex-wife's family, everyone had turned against me. My kids, everyone turned against me. And no one was looking out for me, man. And for you to just, without hesitation, man, you ain't know me. You knew of me, but you ain't know me. Just to reach in your pocket and just give me a couple of $100 and say, oh, man, you don't need your walking around with nothing. And then just walk off, like it was nothing. Didn't even ask for nothing in return. He said, man, that changed. That was the one positive thing that I needed in my life at that particular time because everything else was going bad. And, and now he hired Petey Pablo to help him do some producing on the Empire show. So you see how things come full circle? I'm telling you, man, you have to understand that if people are in dire straits, all you can do is rescue them. All you can do is give them something. You can't expect them to give you anything back. And you certainly don't want to be one of those loan shark type people that loan people money that you know they can't pay back, and then you harass them about it, and then you don't deal with them, and then you tell people about it. You can't be that kind of person, because here's what you have to understand. Anything that you give people, you give it out of the kindness of your heart, not because you expect anything back, not even from God. You don't expect anything back. You know what God said. You believe He'll bless you if you do this, but don't do it because you expect a blessing, because you already got the blessing. Like, you're doing this because you already got the blessing. You're not doing it. What you trying to do? Get double blessing? You trying to fool God? You trying to make God give you 2 for 1? You can't do that. You got to remember, man, that anything that you rescue will become your responsibility. So you could give somebody something, but if you take them on as a financial responsibility, you've rescued them and it becomes your responsibility. You can't take somebody out of the gutter and then give them a life and then put them back in the gutter for nothing. You just can't do it. It's low down. If you help somebody out of there, you gotta be prepared to be responsible for that person. And many people aren't. Many people aren't. So the main thing is that you follow God. You understand? You follow God, not your feelings. Don't get in your feelings. Don't do things because of your feelings. Do things because the word says do this. Do things because God is connecting with you spiritually, directing you to do this. Don't do it because of your feelings, because if so, you'll be broke. You'll be trying to help everybody. And no one is rich enough to help everybody. You know what I mean? That's why you have to be so keyed in with the Most High, so you'll know how not to be taken advantage of. So you'll know the people that you can look out for and the people that you shouldn't worry about looking out for. Because here's the main thing. Only what you do for God, with God's wisdom, understanding, and knowledge guiding you, those are the only things that will be counted to you as positive things you've done in the spirit. You can't go off lean into your own understanding and doing all of these things thinking you're doing the right thing. Many people do. I know people who don't have money to spare, who are always trying to do for people, always trying to act like they have money to spare when in actuality they don't. Why? Because their feelings lead them to do things that they really can't even afford to do, because they feel like they should put a smile on somebody's face. They feel like they should help somebody out. They feel like they should bail somebody out of their silly decisions. And it's just not the case. It's just not the case. Because here's the thing. That means you love yourself and you love people more than you love God. And if you don't love God with all your heart, all your might, all your soul, you will struggle in life. Everything you touch goes up, comes down. Doesn't stay up long. You push it up, it comes down. Gravity is on you. I'm talking about gravity has doubled up its force on you. And this is what you have to understand, because remember this. There's a thin line between being available and being gullible. So are you existing in availability or are you existing in gullibility? That's the question you have to ask yourself, because in reality, none of us deserves to be used. None of us do. So refuse to be used and let God lead the way when it comes to who you're going to do for and what you're going to do for them. All right. I think we're done with this one. I appreciate y'all tuning in. Hey, man, y'all like the video on the way out. Subscribe if you haven't already. And also, leave a comment. I read the comments. I read all of the comments. And I enjoy reading them. So leave a comment down below. Tell me what you think and, what situations you've been in that had you in survival mode, or what situations have you been in where you've helped people that were in survival mode and you saw some of these things. I look forward to hearing what y'all have to say. Peace.